My name is Nate, and I'm going to talk to you about the anatomy of the carpal tunnel, which is what it did say up there. So the carpal tunnel is formed, well, it's a tunnel, and inside of it, it contains tendons. There's tendons, well, I'll talk about all of them in here, but they're from the flexor pollicis longus, flexor digitorum profundus, and the flexor digitorum superficialis. It also contains the median nerve, which I'll talk about. So here I'm just showing one of the borders of the carpal tunnel, which is the carpal arch. It's a deep concave surface, and the roof of the carpal tunnel is the flexor retinaculum, which I'll also show you in a moment. Here I'm just illustrating the lateral and medial borders formed by those carpal bones. So here I'm illustrating the flexor digitorum superficialis, which contributes 4 of the tendons that I mentioned to the carpal tunnel. It's involved in wrist flexion as well as finger flexion. I'm just going to peel it back here and show you the flexor digitorum profundus, which also contributes 4 tendons to the carpal tunnel and is also involved in wrist flexion and finger flexion. So similar shapes, so similar functions there. And lastly, I'm going to highlight here the flexor pollicis longus, which contributes the 9th tendon to the carpal tunnel. And you can see the tendons of the profundus lying medial to that. It is involved in thumb flexion as well as thumb opposition. Here I'm just highlighting the flexor carpi radialis, which is not involved in the carpal tunnel and doesn't pass through the carpal tunnel. I'm just highlighting it so that if you see it on future parts here, you won't be confused and think that there's another contributing tendon. I've now added the median nerve here. Great job to the group that just presented on the path the median nerve takes from the brachial plexus, so I won't bother explaining that here. I merely just wanted to illustrate where the median nerve lies in relation to the tendons of the flexor muscles of the forearm, which it does supply. So I'm trying to illustrate here all the branches and kind of where those go in relation to those tendons I was just talking about. So this should help you get a little bit orientated so that you'll understand how the median nerve might get compressed. Now lastly is the connective tissue here, which forms the roof of the carpal tunnel, the base being the carpal bones. This is the flexor retinaculum, which I had previously mentioned. And here's a trace of the path that the median nerve takes underneath that thick connective tissue. I'm just trying to pull up the last part here, which are the sheaths that surround the tendons that I had previously mentioned. Now, the 8 tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus and the flexor digitorum superficialis, 4 and 4, are surrounded by a single synovial sheath here. The tendon of the flexor pollicis longus is surrounded by its own synovial sheath, which is more lateral to the synovial sheath surrounding the 4 tendons of the digitorum profundus and the 4 tendons of the digitorum superficialis. So quickly zoom in to give a full picture of what we're looking at here. Again, just highlighting the median nerve and showing how it passes through the flexor retinaculum at the roof of the carpal tunnel, as well as the sheaths of the tendons and the very base of the tunnel being those carpals. And there, I just figured I'd draw a little something there, maybe a little foreshadowing for what people may be talking about with treatments. I don't know. Stay tuned. Thanks, guys.